Collector's Corner. My name is David De La Cruz. After a long hiatus, we're back again, and for this segment, we'll be talking about the comic book industry, how things have changed back when I was a kid, growing up and going to the mom and pop shops back in the 60s and up to the current date. So I have two good longtime friends of mine, Jack Stubblefield and Alan Eilers, and they will both be giving their opinions and their versions and their views as to the comic book industry that covers Marvel, DC, and a few independents. Hope you can tune in with us and hope you enjoy it. I guess cumulatively, we've read comics since we were little kids, and probably about at least 80 years? And that's mostly 70 on my part, and 5 and 5 on each one of you guys, I guess.
You had to bring that up, huh?
Yeah. But anyway, what we're talking about today is just the way that the comic industry has gone. Of course, it's leaps and bounds from when Alan and I were little kids. Sorry about that.
That's
Alan
okay.
did it again. And they've changed. For the most part, some of it has been good. But lately, I see the last few years, it's taken a turn, especially on the Marvel side. And it's ironic because I'm a huge, huge Marvel fan. And always have been. But these last few years, Marvel has really taken a downturn with the way they introduced new characters, supposedly, which really are rehashing the same old characters. Alan, you want to go on that?
Yeah, we were talking, actually Jack and I were talking earlier before y'all got here, and we were trying to think of the last time Marvel came up with a original character that actually was a hit, so to speak, and I can't think of that. I mean, you've got like the spin-offs with the Miles Morales with the Spider-Man and the what's the other one?
I was going to say the only one we could was Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl, yeah.
Wow.
But before that, I mean, we're looking at Deadpool, I think, was probably their last big hit. I mean, you got X-23, which is a knockoff of Wolverine.
The new Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, now the new Ms. Marvel's a knockoff, so... Originally, I don't know. I can't think of anything. Can you, Dave?
No, it's a shame because we grew up with Tony Stark being Iron Man, Steve Rogers being Captain America, the son of Odin actually being Thor, and lately we've gotten the female versions of at least two out of those three, and Sam Wilson needs to be what he originally was, which is the Falcon, and I know this happened a few months back, and supposedly it's been taken care of by Marvel, but it just kind of, it's taken me as a retailer selling the product to my customers. I have to try to explain what the heck is going on. Most of the time, I don't know what's going on, okay? Jack, I know you read a lot of, well, you've been reading a lot of the Silver Age and the Bronze, and you do a lot of current stuff more so than I do. You care to elaborate as to what's going on here, your version of it, your opinion?
Gotcha. I was telling Alan that I think that DC's got them beat story-wise. The stories are much better than Marvel's stories. I can't figure out if Marvel decided with the movies that they could do anything they want to. The whole event fatigue thing, Alan and I were talking about that. And I know you and I have discussed it. I thought that they had said that, we understand that our audience is tired of the events and they've got event fatigue, so we're going to hold off on that. And now you've got, Infinity Countdown, and when we reveal that villain, it'll change the Marvel Universe forever. And then after that is Spider-Geddon? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. It used to be where Marvel, hands down, was just kicking butt in sales, in writing, artistic talents. And I'm not knocking the present writers. I guess it may sound like I am, or the artist. But I believe I've always said there's too much of Marvel. If you guys can understand where I'm going from, where I'm coming from, it's just too much Marvel, too many titles. I don't know that they have the right artist and the right grouping artist and writer to cover each and every individual title that Marvel puts out. They need to scale back. When I first opened up my shop in 2006, the number 1 and 2 sellers were Amazing Spider-Man and the X-Men. A year later, to date, from 2007 to date, has been Batman. The whole One More Day thing, it killed sales.
It did.
It kills sales. It has not recovered.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what these guys might tell you, what they might print in their letters page in the editor's column. No. The truth, at least for this part of the region, here in South Texas, it has killed the sales. Marvel has killed the sales here, and I'm trying as best as I can, and there's other retailers that feel exactly the same way I do. We're trying to figure out how we can get this crowd back. And Marvel doesn't help by it feels like every 6 months they're restarting a title.
Yeah.
A new number 1.
And then they were going to go back to original numbering.
Yes.
That
And-
lasted how long?
Yeah.
6 months?
6 months.
Like you said?
Yeah.
It is just, it's insane.
Time for another
sometimes.
reboot.
Yeah.
But don't call it a reboot.
Yeah.
By the time this segment is over, it's going to be time for another reboot.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a shame because a lot of these people, the younger people that are coming back in, the older people that are kind of getting reintroduced because of the movies, which, by the way, are freaking awesome. The Avengers Infinity War was, wow. But just awesome.
Don't-
I'm not going to say anything, you know. Anyway, it was just awesome. So these people that are coming in want to know what's up with Marvel, what's been going on with Marvel. So when you tell them, well, Thor is actually a female, but she's going to die pretty soon, I think. She has cancer, but she's going to beat it. And, what are you talking about? Yeah, well, where's Iron Man? Well, he's not really here. It's a female version of Iron Man. Now I know that they're trying to repair it. They're trying to get back to basics, so to speak. But in a lot of cases, it's too little, too late. We as retailers have suffered through the non-sales. We have stacks and stacks of stuff that are just piling up. Customers will read 2 or 3 comics and that's it. They don't want to go further into whichever issue that they're starting, whether it's Amazing Spider-Man, whether it's Thor, whether it's Hulk.
Oh, the Totally Awesome.
Totally awesome with the little poopy hairdo thingy, you know.
Special gamma gel.
But they are bringing back Bruce Banner yet again after they killed him off. Hawkeye shot him through the eye type of thing, but he's okay now, you know. And I don't know if they've explained that fully, but I mean, I can go on and on. You read a lot of DC and a few independents. Compare what you're reading now to what we're discussing, what you read back, say a decade ago.
I realized, I think I've told you before, I got back into comics. I have a son, and we wanted to read something together. And he was into Star Wars, so I started back with Dark Horse Star Wars line, and kept coming to you, unfortunately, when I could afford it. And no, David's a good guy. It's Alan's the one that's not.
Yeah.
And I saw the Ultimate line, and that's what initially pulled me back into Marvel, was the Ultimate line, which then they merged and ruined,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
They did.
I stopped reading it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that Marvel has tried things, they're trying to correct things, and then I was telling you about Captain America. They did that whole, he's an agent of Hydra, and then they fixed that, and the plot line was he was going all around America trying to fix things, make sure everybody liked him. And now we're 10, 15, 20 years into the future Cap.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
You know, I kind of wanted them to continue that storyline. It's like they're throwing things
See what's
just
See
to
what sticks, yeah.
what people buy and then try to fix it.
Alan, when you were growing up, what title kind of drew you into the comic world? What title brought you in and that you continue to read that you still read today, if that's even possible? But we're talking Marvel or DC.
For me, it was Spider-Man. The first book I read was Amazing Spider-Man 16. Back in the day, it was a crossover with Daredevil, and I read that book all the way up until the One More Day, and then after that, it was like I couldn't take it.
No
I
more
was
days.
I was done with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a long time. I mean, we're talking decades. So
Yeah, and I understand that back in the day when we were growing up, because we're pretty close to the same age, they had one-story issues,
Yep.
right? But then they only had like 20 titles.
not even that much when I started. It was
Yeah,
like 12,
yeah, or less.
12
Or it was
titles.
a two-story. You know, it was a
Exactly.
two-story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that was great. When they said we'd be back in 30, they meant 30.
30, right.
And it was great stuff. Great stuff. Now I understand things progress, you know, again, as I said earlier in the program, most times for the better. But I don't know that in Marvel's case, you know, they've actually done anything for the better lately. When I say lately, I'm talking about the last 7, 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
It's been really, it's been hurting our industry. Even the artwork, the covers sell. With Marvel, we as retailers, we order, and we have to order X amount to get an awesome Alex Ross cover. You have to order 50 issues to get an Alex Ross cover, 100 issues to get a Jurjevic cover, and it's so on and so forth. Whereas I have brought a couple of samples here. You know, you have DC. Look at that. Isn't that an awesome Jim Lee, Superman, Batman issue there? Look at that cover. Batman 45. You know how many I had to order to get this? It's a 50-50 split. There's no limit. I could have ordered 150 of each. You'd have had 50 of this and 50 of the regular cover.
Wow.
The same thing with this awesome looking Flash cover here, reverse Flash. That's just awesome. Again, DC's hit the nail on the head when it comes to writing, when it comes to how you present the covers, because the covers sell.
Covers sell, they do.
Covers sell. We talked about the plot lines and the storylines before. Covers sell, okay? This week, just this week, we have Batgirl. That's your regular cover. And look at that cover. Now, when my customers come in, and I'm going to put this here, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, these four right here. When my customers come in, they can decide if they want the Virgin cover, which looks awesome, or the regular cover. You know,
Or both.
most of my customers take both. Again, kudos to DC. They know what they're doing. They've got their stuff together, and I don't, you know, I kind of hate admitting it, but you know, DC is number one right now. At least here, again, this part of the country, this region of Texas, it is kicking major butt, and Marvel is just dropping and dropping and dropping. We have pull box systems, which you're one of our longtime customers, and
Finally got to number one.
you know, how many times have you scaled back on Marvel stuff?
Oh, many times. Many times. It's, you know, there's the mainstays. I'm a Captain America guy and have been since the 70s when I was a kid. And I was telling you yesterday, there's been several times here recently that I plug through the storylines hoping that it's going to get better because it's Captain America and it's my favorite guy.
Yeah.
And
He wears the flag. Jeez,
yeah,
come on.
dude, he rocks.
Yeah.
On these covers, I was going to tell you, to me, the Virgin covers, I'd buy this as a poster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
You know, yeah.
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 That's a
Hint, DC, more posters, okay? Marvel has you beat on posters, okay? You have to offer more posters because we have a whole mess of customers that just are dying for posters, just like Jack said, something like this, something like that, especially one of these,
Yep.
or even the reverse
Sure.
flash. They're just gorgeous covers, awesome talent here on display. Artistic wise, I mean, come on, you can't get any better than Jim Lee. You know, Neil Adams has a few, and Mike Grell does some
Yeah,
Green Arrow
Green Arrow.
for the oldies, like us, and they've got their fingers on the pulse of the comic book world, and they are blowing and going right now. They're just kicking some major butt. I keep on saying that, but it's the truth, and I would hope that somehow, some way, Marvel wakes up, listens to us as retailers, listens to the people that have been supportive since the early 60s, myself and Alan included, and there's a whole mass of us out there. Bring that good stuff back, man. We want to see Tony Stark as Iron Man. We want to see, Thor as the male version of the Son of Odin. And it'll go on. And I know that they've started to make adjustments to that, and they're starting to kind of go back into that direction. And I hope it continues. But I long for those days, and I know those days are gone. And I'm an old guy, so you're not going to take that away from me ever. But still, I'm in the business of selling comics. I have to sell your product. I have to sell DC's product. I have to sell Independent's product. But this is our bread and butter. The big two, Marvel and DC. And Marvel they're so far behind, they need to really make up a lot of ground. And in a lot of cases, we as retailers, if we want a nice cover, like maybe, again, I'm going to go back to Alex Ross. Let's say, I have 5 customers that want that certain one, but in order for me to get that to each and every one of those customers, I'm going to have to order bukus of the regular issue, which I'm going to have a stack like this of the regular issue, and I'll sell those 5 like that. Yeah, just like that. It would be okay if the stories were great. It'd be okay, but they're not. So that's how we're suffering, and not. I'm trying to. As retailers, we're trying to keep everybody satisfied, and you're going to have your big time DC backers, and you're going to have your big time Marvel backers, and you have to please them both. But you have to have the product on hand to please them both. And right now, DC does, and Marvel does not.
You would think, because we've talked about this, and I've had this conversation with literally ones and ones of people about the movies versus the comics. And what people say is DC, in terms of comics, has got Marvel beat. The movies, on the other hand, Marvel has DC beat. Or the Netflix shows that Marvel does have got DC beat in terms of that entertainment.
CWs.
Yeah. The soap opera really.
Right.
Yeah. And you would think, with as much money as they are pulling in with the movies, that you would want to line the comic books up. Because I think we'd agree that the movies are awesome.
Oh,
Movies
yes,
are great.
most definitely. Hands down.
Yeah. I've that moment when the helicarrier came out of the water in the first Avengers
Right.
movie,
Crazy.
dude, I squealed. I have a total fanboy moment. That was the closest I'll ever see, to see an actual helicarrier. That was awesome.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to be translating into the comics.
Well, I think they just the movies are too good to where that's maybe all they're concentrating on, storylines for the movies instead of the books.
And I know that in some cases Marvel will try to tweak the characters to fit the movie
Fit the movies, right?
instead of the other way around. And I know a lot of it has to do with Hollywood. We all know that, and you have to have some Hollywood stuff in there, But I'm all again. I love the comics. I always have. I love the movies. I always have. But there's a lot of my customers that are leaving Marvel and going straight to Independence, going to Image, going to Dark Horse, going to Aftershock. They're going to all these other ones. Now, Alan, you've picked up several independent titles. Tell us what you've seen in independent titles that maybe either one of these two are lacking, whether it's Marvel or DC, or the direction that they're going that's bringing more and more customers into the independents.
Well, there's several things. You got, number one, the creators actually write their own books, so they've got that vested, and they love their characters, so they're going to treat them differently than you would, say, a writer for hire, an artist for hire. It's their livelihood, so they're going to put more effort, I think, anyway. I mean, I would, but that's one reason. As far as collectability, I mean, you know, there's smaller print runs for a lot of these books, so if he does hit it big, you got a chance of increasing in value, as opposed to these books that's going to put out, you know, probably 50, 60,000 an issue.
Right.
So
Right.
those are the two biggest draws, and they could like the image books. They're always on the lookout for new talent, and like I said, they're writing their own books. So
Now,
I think
some of
that's the
these
biggest
titles
thing.
from Image, they're even getting looked at on Netflix and on the big screen and
Yeah.
on TV.
Right.
Name a few that you've heard.
Well, Deadly
recently.
Class is going to be a TV show from Image.
There's several out there. Of course, the biggest one being Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, of
You
course,
know,
yeah.
you have several of these movies on the big screen that are taking, like Marvel, for instance, they're taking some of the heroes, putting them in Netflix. Daredevil is an awesome, awesome series. Punisher, John Barenthal's version of Punisher. Oh, it is just hands down the best version I've seen. His attitude, his demeanor is just what you'd expect when you would read a Frank Castle Punisher book to be. It's just awesome. Have you seen anything at all anywhere else that? Because I know that DC has they have a Flash and they have Arrow. Do those compare anything towards what Netflix is putting out there from Marvel? How do those compare? Do you think it's about the same,
Oh,
one over the other?
no.
What do you think?
Netflix, hands down, has got better stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like they've got more freedom to
Yes,
do
definitely.
what they want.
Yeah.
The CW, the Arrowverse, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow,
Supergirl.
Arrow, they really do watch like soap operas.
yeah.
Very, very, very beautiful people.
Yeah.
Lots of leather.
Yeah.
And the stories aren't as gritty.
Great.
Yeah. And I guess I'd have to tone it down because there's a lot of
Sure.
kids there. It's not everyone has Netflix,
Right.
but you know, we could go on and on with this. Unfortunately, our time is running short, and I'd like to thank our producer here and everything else behind the scenes, Mr. Rene Pantoja. He does an excellent job on each one of these segments that we have. I'd like to thank you, viewers. I'd like to thank Jack.
Sure, man. Sure.
Appreciate it. Longtime friend Alan, thank you guys for your input. And what we're saying here is we don't believe it's going to change the industry, by no means. We're just letting out a little steam, I guess you would say. And we're hoping that maybe, somehow, some way, Marvel can get back to basics, get back to their bread and butter, which is great stories. Just great stories for the customers to come back, the readers to come back, and start picking up on it. And let's see if we can't catch DC, at least at this part of the region here. We'll see you soon.